Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome back. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for another Queen Sugar character analysis. I used to do these all the time, pretty much with every season. And since we have a little lull in the show's schedule, Queen Sugar will not return until October 26th. So I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about our characters and just kind of analyze what's going on with them, like the evolution of our beloved Queen Sugar characters. Before we get going good, I want to just say that Queen Sugar returned for its sixth season in the midst of a pandemic. So despite all of that, despite all of the concerns, the complaints, and the debates, I just want to say kudos to the entire QS team for making a season 6 happen for us. We were desperate for content. We were desperate to see our beloved characters and all of the wonderful colors and textures of this show return. And they did not disappoint. They delivered. No matter what our feelings are about the season, hey, they still made it happen, and they deserve kudos for that alone, right? We're going to go character by character and kind of talk about a little bit about our characters. We're going to try to be brief, but we are going to sort of summarize what we've seen up into this sixth season for each character, and then we're going to ask some questions. And I encourage you, if you have any questions regarding all or some of the characters in this analysis, I encourage you to drop down below and feel free to leave those comments. Feel free to leave your questions. You guys know we love to chop it up down in the comments. Also, want to let you know that we're also going to have some questions, not just for individual characters, but we're also going to have some questions regarding this season and how we think this season is going to end. How is it ultimately evolving, and what will be the end of that evolution for this season? Is it going to be, are we going to be shooketh? Right? Are we all completely off the mark? Okay. Our questions are gonna delve into that. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about Charlie Bordelon West, okay, which is played by an actor by the name of Dawn Lynn Gardner. Charlie Bordelon West is a mother, a manager, a strategist. She is a political figure. We all know that she's a daughter, a sibling. There is something immediately attractive about Queen Sugar's Charlie Bordelon West. And it has very little to do with looks and everything to do with the sort of power she commands with ease. She was a basketball wife when we first met her coming into season 1, but she's also the creator of her husband's brand when we first met her. And there was a sense from that first moment that we saw Charlie that she has made Davis West more so than Davis has made her. And, in that very same season, we hear Charlie lament regarding, she makes the statement, one of the few things a woman can control is her own story. And so we've seen from that first season, Charlie just sort of begin to, eke her way out of this boxed lifestyle and become this, more humble, more well-rounded, more in tune, more decisive type individual, right? I can honestly say that she has been controlling her own story and her own narrative. And we all fell in love with later seasons of Queen Sugar, where we saw that Charlie Bordelon West baby is a force. Okay. She is a force. I talk down in the comments with one of my absolutely wonderful subscribers, someone I adore, Pacino. And we talked about my missing the scalpel sharp Charlie that we knew from the past. And he believes that we'll see her again. And I was convinced. He convinced me that we will see this Charlie again, but when, right? I don't know if we're going to see it in this season, but I think he may be right. We're going to see it again at some point. Like I said, that statement summarized who Charlie is and has always been. She is a woman who prioritizes above men and marriage, even status, her own narrative. She prioritizes her own narrative. And we saw a little bit of that when she got this great news from the political leader or strategist or whomever he was that proposed that she run for Congress, United States Congress. We saw that instead of her going and discussing that information with Davis, who's been by her side now since the end of season 5, and is a huge part of her storyline in season 6, we see her instead go to Micah and tell Micah, who has been a consistent confidant and friend and supporter of hers throughout it all, as mom, as just plain old Charlie the sister, as Charlie the businesswoman, so on and so forth. So, like I said, to me, that speaks to her controlling her own narrative. Also, considering all she's been through with her marriage, it is admirable that she's not completely jumping head over heels. She does appear to be in this season, but I don't know. I'm not completely sold on Charlie choosing marriage again. I think she will definitely choose relationship. I don't know about marriage so much. So in season 6, we find Charlie toying with the idea, the audacity that she can have it all. Can I have both love and ambition? She ponders in episode 6 of season 6. Charlie flutters on the outskirts of the Borderlands this season. She is this season's proverbial bartender, as her fellow Queen Sugar characters saunter in and out of scenes with Charlie just to drop a positive line here or there of encouragement in exchange for her wise counsel, right? We see that where she is consistently counseling Billy, just encouraging her, lifting her up, kind of pouring into her what she herself has learned from having had some of the same issues and concerns as it pertains to being daughter, right? Being wife, being mother. So I'm just wondering, are we now seeing the return of the West Coast Charlie Bordelon West, where, she had the giant Betty Ford sunglasses and the luxury handbags, and she kind of came in and gave us, Diane Carroll in the start of every scene? Or is this really what having it all looks like? I mean, she seems remarkably calm, although she has not embarked upon this whole political venture. I'm just wondering if the start of that is where we're going to begin to see our old scalpel sharp, no holds bar, hold on to your hats, Charlie Bordelon West. Or is the Charlie character going to float off into the faint distant? You know, I don't know. I only say that because, like I said, she flutters on the outskirts of all of the Borderlands this season. So we don't see a truly invested Charlie. And again, that was the Charlie that we saw in the beginning. She wasn't as invested in St. Joe or in what her siblings had going on here. So that's my question for Charlie. Let's talk about Micah West, who is played by Nicholas L. Ash. We come upon Micah as a college student navigating his desire to use his own voice and passion for photography in support for equal justice, equal rights. Throughout 6 seasons, the Micah West character has been the vehicle by which Ava and the writers have exposed the trials and tribulations of young black males in modern day America, the racial injustice and the PTSD that accompanies it. Throughout the seasons, though we have seen Micah evolve with socializing and his interests and his personal passions, he has remained consistent as a character in his level of compassion and kindness, his encouraging spirit, and his thoughtful demeanor. Micah is navigating his own way in this world, and he continues to discover things about himself. There has been a lot of conversation about Micah's sexuality this season, and those questions remain unanswered so far in season 6. But whether or not Micah is gay or just navigating his feelings as a straight man who is open to others and their lifestyles, the core of the Micah West character remains true. Let's talk about Violet Bordelon, played by Tina Lifford. Listen, first of all, Tina Lifford is in her 60s, early 60s, and she has a phenomenal figure. We've always seen all of Tina Lifford as Violet Bordelon, but this season we don't see all of the unit changes on the Violet character this season. She sort of stays, right there with the body of a 25-year-old, but the hairdo of a 60-year-old woman. And I think it was on purpose because while Aunt Vi is beautiful and sexy and vivacious, she has we cannot negate the years of experience that is Aunt Vi, right? As the surviving sister of the late Ernest Bordelon, Aunt Violet is the default matriarch of the family. She is unmarried and has no children of her own, but showers Nova and Charlie and Ralph Angel with the same affection one would give their own kids. The easy trope for Violet to play, it would be to play into that of being, I guess, a desexualized mammy, if you will. An older black woman who isn't eligible for love, romantic pleasure, or companionship. Luckily for us, the powers behind Queen Sugar know better. What we get instead from this character is a passionate love story that defies the conventions of traditional relationships in the very best way. In season 6, we see Vi struggle with control and change. In an effort to be authentically Vi, the matriarch and community pillar, she has spent much of season 6 bulldozing over others' feelings, and a good portion of season 5, if you remember correctly, she singed the hairs out of Ralph Angel's nose with some of the harshest criticisms that I personally have heard in a long time. But yeah, we get to see her in season 6 continuing to bulldoze over others' feelings, including her beloved Hollywood. In season 6, we see where she has decided to become decidedly selfish. I dare say. But to what end? Are we seeing the classic case of self-sabotaging behaviors with Aunt Vi in this season? Or is she just doing her? Right? It feels a bit like self-sabotage, and it definitely it goes without saying that Vi has been selfish. She has been emotionally selfish this season, especially as it pertains to Hollywood and his needs and his feelings. Still being, like I said, perpetually Vi. She's a caregiver. She's a nurturer. She's a motherly figure. And we see that with the introduction of outside characters, mainly the Celine and Gabriel character, who've been woven into Vi and Hollywood's life. To what end, we don't know. But let's talk about Hollywood Desonné, who's played by Omar J. Dorsey. He's been one of our most unexplored characters on Queen Sugar. He also remains the most vindicated character. We got to see a huge shakeup with the Hollywood character when it was revealed that he had a wife. And he was immediately vindicated when we learned that he had a wife who suffered greatly from mental illness. And even though he wasn't, I guess, presently in the marriage, he was still obligated and acted as such. And so just like that, all over again, we fell in love with the Hollywood character, and we have remained in love with the Hollywood character, which is why he's one of our most vindicated characters. Hollywood is the only character that has not digressed and tried to return, back into the arms of the viewers again. He has, like I said, remained consistent. Hollywood remains open-hearted and morally defined. He's a morally defined character. He's Queen Sugar's rudder. You know what I mean? And at times a proverbial anchor. While the lion's share of the storylines belong to the core Bordelon clan, the Hollywood character is richly layered and continues to remain a missed opportunity as it pertains to his character, reflecting what a good black man looks like, right? And peeling back the layers of that, I think the opportunity to show that has been missed. Hopefully season 7 will give us more layers with Omar Dorsey and the Hollywood character. What's next for Hollywood, though, is my question. Could it possibly be fatherhood? Those ideas, those thoughts have been tossed around out there. I'd love to know what you guys think about Vi and Hollywood sort of moving from this stalemate where they are accepting outside family members and outside members of the community as their children to love and to nurture and care for, as opposed to having their own. And it can easily be done through either adoption or surrogacy. I'd love to see that side of Hollywood. We got just a small glimpse this season with the Gabriel and Celine add-on characters, but I could use a little bit more of Daddy Hollywood. How about you? Let's talk now about Ralph Angel Bordelon. I think a character that has frustrated us the most. Unlike Hollywood, Ralph Angel, we have been up and down with Ralph Angel and his antics, his missteps, the ups and downs, the tenderness. And in season 5, it left us celebrating Ralph Angel's growth and maturity. The character seemed to have come full circle from petty thief and lost soul to a viable, functioning citizen, father, husband. We got to see at the end, towards the end of season 5. business owner. We got to see a bit of growth throughout the time that Queen Sugar has been on. We got to see Ralph Angel grow the land, grow the business, truly become. But in terms of his attitude, his character, his behavior, standing up and taking the mantle. I think that's something that Ernest always wanted, and I think we got to see a glimpse of that in season 5. I mean, we were all rooting for you, Ralph Angel. But in season 6, we just got just a small taste of the Ralph Angel that we left safe and sound in season 5. But slowly but surely in season 6, we see the unraveling of the last 4 or 5 seasons with Ralph Angel. We see the return of a selfish Ralph Angel, ashamed, Ralph Angel, one who is willful and hard-headed. That feels so much like season 2 Ralph Angel. You wouldn't believe it. In season 6, we also see him move like a man with nothing to lose, which has been to our frustration, much to our frustration. In fact, he has everything to lose. Family, legacy, land are all at stake, as we see Ralph Angel digress back into a life of crime. My question for you all is Ralph Angel walking out of his own hard-earned, hard-fought life, or is he getting lured? Do we think that Ralph Angel is being cornered in a way as it pertains to what's going on with the land and the allegations against his father's legacy, as well as economy-wise? Do we feel that Ralph Angel is being lured into the jaws, the waiting jaws of whomever, of whatever, right? Or are we accepting that Ralph Angel may just not have been as strong as we thought he was in season 5, or he appeared to be in season 5? I don't know. Let's talk about Darla, played by Bianca Lawson. She continues to walk softly as a character, in my opinion, given her past as a drug-addicted mother, rape survivor. She has navigated feelings of shame and guilt for her lost years and how it affected her life and the life of her son Blue. We also learned in a past season that Ra was not the biological father of Blue. The Darla character was able to overcome these troublesome missteps and dirty secrets, and continued references about her past. I mean, she's not been able to let it go all the time as it pertains to the Bordelons because of Blue's paternity, So she got a little mud slung at her there, which can definitely send you into the shadows when it comes to being a little bit more outspoken, I guess. But she worked hard to overcome those things. Season 6 finds Darla discovering her voice. While it's still skittish, it's still pretty much a skittish whisper. Darla has become more open and authentic with herself and with others. Now we see her managing her intuitions as a mom and as a wife. It's a good place to be, but given everything that's going on with Ralph Angel and how he appears to be digressing, and the fact that she is due to give birth here very shortly, will we see Darla's voice grow louder and more impactful as the seasons, multiple seasons, hopefully we get a season 7, as the seasons continue? I'd love to know what you think in regards to that. Of course, put that down below. Now let's go on to Nova Bordelon, who is played by Rutina Wesley. The Nova character is the character most likely not to follow through, in my opinion. Nova's storylines throughout the seasons are full of loose strings. As viewers vested in these characters, we are challenged with not pulling those strings for fear of unraveling the whole shebang. And no one wants to start over with the Nova character. We love her, we do, but she can be exhausting, you guys. You know, one of the Queen Sugar's most, Nova is one of Queen Sugar's most, I should say, aesthetically and aesthetically beautiful characters. We have seen a beautifully textured character live boldly and unapologetically on our screens. She is an activist, a prolific writer, a poignant speaker, an indignant lover with an appetite for all things lovely and interesting. I mean, we, though frustrated with Nova Bordelon, we have been entertained. We have been entertained by her love interests and all of the things that have interested Nova has interested us, but because it has always been an attempt to better the community, to grow the community, to support the community. It's one of the things we love the most about Nova, right? So, like I said, she's also an untethered soul, even when it comes to beliefs, even as it pertains to race and romance. You know, she cannot be necessarily tied down. It seems as though we've got her figured out, but then she goes and we discover that she has a Caucasian love interest. And at first it seems fleeting, but when we see the start of season 5, we see that they've moved in together. This seems to be, out of all the relationships we've seen Nova have over the last few seasons, this relationship seems to be the most serious. Yet in season 6, it's never even mentioned, right? Loose strings, or as we say over here in MizHoney land, you know, the honeybee land, it's a scab, you know, that we've been forced not to pick at because we don't know what picking at it will lead to. Like I said, she's an untethered soul as it pertains to race and romance. Season 5, like I said, we see Nova reconcile herself to the family. Is still divided, but seemingly anchored in her new relationship with Calvin. Season 6, we find Nova busy as usual, but weakened. Again, no mention of Calvin. Busy as usual, planning, organizing, but weakened and frazzled. This season, she flutters in and out of scenes like a scared rabbit. Her judgment appears to be fractured, and we only get to see tiny crumbs of the Nova we have grown to love and at times hate. Still, the remnants of a strong, effectual Nova are seen in episode 6, season 6, when she cries, "Freedom! Let me go home." And those cries are heard. But still, as a die-hard viewer, the myriad of loose strings continue to frustrate us. We want our indomitable Nova back ASAP. My question, as it pertains to the Nova character, is Nova the travailing victim or the unwitting target? And for how long has she been either of those, right? We've always gotten a bit of victimhood from Nova, okay? But I don't know. also we've always gotten Target, and I think the two are different. I think we can see there are some instances where we can see, like the Ralph Angel character, that it is a possibility that both of them may be in the midst of being set up in some sort of way, right? Just saying. Okay. Let's talk lastly about Prosper Denton, who's played by Henry G. Sanders, and Billy, his daughter, who is played by Tammy Townsend, who did a remarkable job in this last episode, episode 6 of season 6. In season 6, like I said, we see a bit of a fall from grace from our show patriarch Prosper. We as viewers are like children discovering that daddy's not Superman. Like Billy, Prosper's estranged daughter, we are confronted with the truth of Prosper's humanness and frailty. You know, we were confronted with it. Billy was confronted with it. Okay. But Billy knew something that we didn't know. All right. And we were all shocked to find out that Prosper is a bit to blame for the deterioration of his relationship with his daughter. Season 6 exposed the viewers to the ugly reality that Prosper is an old man with fears and a lifetime of mistakes to make up for. You know, I think as viewers, we gave him this veil of ethereal, grandfatherly wisdom and kindness, and we were running with that because it was familiar and comfortable to us, right? We wanted that. All right. But again, Prosper is an old man with the same fears that we all have and a lifetime of mistakes to make up for. Billy's arrival also exposed the Borderlands in a way as well. While we never thought of them as perfect, we learned that the Borderlands' past secrets are far-reaching. And while we did get a glimpse of the notion that they were not perfect within Nova's tell-all book, Billy's return to St. Joe definitely confirmed that the Borderlands are a messy, fractured, influential fixture in St. Joe. So the question is, what's next for Prosper and Billy? Are their characters impactful enough for us to miss if they don't return on next season? Or are we locked in to Prosper being a staple, a part of this show, and being important in a patriarchal role in terms of how it moves forward? You guys tell me what you think about that. Now we've come to the end, and we have had questions for each of our characters. Now we have questions for with regards to the season and the show as a whole. Again, I'd love for us to discuss these things down below. Season 6, episode 7, like I said, of Queen Sugar returns on October 26th. And if you're like me, you're anxious to get this season done. I know that I'm not the only one who would like to fast forward amid all of the season 6 theories and beliefs, okay, myths, ideas, whatever, and just get down to the bottom of what's really happening in this season. But given that, let's beg the questions. Is season 6 Queen Sugar disjointed? Or are we just not used to our characters forging their own way outside of the family confines? Are we as viewers interpreting the forking of our characters, meaning them going in all of these different directions and not being as connected as they were before? Are we interpreting this forking of our characters' lives as the end of the show? I mean, it almost seems like I almost feel panicked when I see how disconnected our characters are this season, right? Or next, how confident are we as viewers that Ava is still vested in this family's story as we are? Or will we see another rushed, disconnected ending like we did with Greenleaf? I think this ties back into my last question, which just, like I said, I'm kind of just a little bit panicked about where this season is headed. I think we've just been spoiled with such rich writing and dialogue and storylines and connection of the characters that season 6 has left us a little bit skeptical, a little bit panicked. Lastly, do you guys think that the Landrys are just picking the Borderlones off one by one? That, if you don't answer any other question, I would love to hear you answer that. Do you guys think that ultimately it is going to come out that the Landrys are just picking the Borderlones off one by one? Huh? You guys know what my theory is for this season. I wanted to throw that theory out there as well. I think it's a viable theory, and I'd love to know what you think. I hope you guys have enjoyed this character analysis. I welcome you to add to this analysis, to beg your own questions of me and other honeybees out there. And until next time, honeybees, mwah, 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 I'll holla.